identify who is allowed to vote and who is not. I'm glad to see many of you are here and alive and moving around. I would encourage you to turn on your cameras if you have them. It gives us a sense of being a member of a camaraderie that is sorely lacking today. And I think it would be nice if we can actually see that we're all here. Having said that, the first item on the agenda is the approval of the September 22nd, 2020 meeting. No, the first item on the agenda is our roll call.
Roll call.
All right, please do the roll call.
Okay. Okay, please let me know if you're here or not. Doug Jacob? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
We can hear you.
Okay. I thought Doug Jacob was here. Ari Weiss? Maybe he didn't come back yet. Grace Cacciola?
Here.
Christine Mazzola?
Present.
Thanks, Christine. Samia McEachin
Here.
and Allison Burke? I know, I saw Allison, it's okay.
I'm here. Sorry, I had to unmute.
That's okay. William Goffin? Dominic Battinelli? Daniel Mizels?
I'm here.
Hey, Danny. Robert Bristol?
Present.
Jonathan, John Johnstone? James Downey or Travis Kessel?
Travis Kessel, present.
Thank you. Jerry Gilbard or David Mekitansky?
Jerry here.
Okay. Joseph Schenker?
Here.
Thank you. Scott Orlanski?
Here.
See, we tried to keep you out, but they let you in.
Sadly, a big mistake on their part.
Morty Lax?
Here.
Martina Baccarella?
Here.
Nancy Benedetto?
Here.
Vincent Barranco?
Vincent Barranco, present.
Thank you. Arthur Cooper? Robert Krupe?
Here.
Megan Farley?
Here.
Manfred Fuchs?
Here. Hi.
Marie, Dr. Cooper's just joined into the waiting room. He's joining in now.
Okay, great. Let me know when he's in and I'll call him. Sean Graves?
Here.
He just got.
Okay. Arthur Cooper? Jerry Gumbo?
Hi, Marie.
Hi. Dr. Langsam is here. Brian Levinsky?
Marie, it's Art Cooper. I am here.
Thanks, Art. Thank you.
Brian Levinsky, I'm present.
Okay. Dennis Laurie? Mitchell Powell?
I saw Dennis Laurie before.
You know, Dennis, I know. Mitch Powell is not here tonight? Okay. So, Dove Jacobs, did you come back into the room?
I don't see him.
I'm sorry?
I do not see him.
Okay, he was here for ambulance though. Okay, so we still have a quorum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So we have 22 out of 26 members here.
Thank you very much. I would ask Joe to please mute everybody and unmute yourself when you want to speak, but then please promptly mute yourself. There's too much feedback and ambient noise coming through. So please mute everybody. Now we'll unmute myself. Okay. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the September 22nd, 2020 minutes. I assume that all of you have received a copy and have had a chance to review it. Are there any corrections or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, a motion to approve is in order. Someone unmute yourself and make the motion.
Motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Scott, turn your camera on. I want to see you.
Joe, if you can hear me, please let Ryan in. We have people in the waiting room.
You sure you want to see Scott?
Exactly.
I just want to make sure I can throw things at him. Okay. Is there anyone who is going to vote opposed to the minutes? Is there anyone who's going to vote to abstain on the minutes? Hearing none, a roll call vote is unnecessary, and I will deem the motion to have passed, and we will move on. The next item is the correspondence report. Okay, let me go through that with you. From the New York State Department of Health, we received a statement of charges from the New York State DOH against Bensonhurst VAC. They were suspended for 1 year, which was stayed. They were placed on probation for 2 years, effective September 23rd, 2020. They were assessed a $2,000 civil penalty. They are required to hire a consultant and provide regular reports to New York State DOH. The staff reports that New York City REMSCO spent over 2 years attempting to assist, but Bensonhurst leadership refused assistance at that time. The enforcement actions for both individual providers and agencies can be viewed on the New York State DOH site. The link will be provided to you with the correspondence report in the minutes. We have received communication from District 4 and 18 reporting that they are working together with Bedford-Stuyvesant VAC to revise and correct and to operationalize their group, and that everything is going along swimmingly well. And we hope that everything will be fixed up to make everybody happy. There is no new requests for course sponsors. The Glen Oaks VAC expansion certificate of need. We've received various letters of support. I won't give you the entire list. Again, it'll come in your minutes. Requests to speak in support from various groups. That too will be included in the minutes. We also received a letter from Christopher Capo and the Board of Trustees of the former Bayside VAC opposing, and they will be speaking at the public hearing. We note that the certificate was revoked sometime in 2018 by New York State DOH. We received several letters from various VACs who are opposed to the Glen Oaks expansion, and that too will appear in the minutes. I remind you that the public hearing is scheduled for tomorrow at 6 o'clock. You were all sent notices, and you, of course, are welcome to come and watch how we proceed on these things. But if you want to speak, you need to inform Marie ahead of time. Okay. The Office of the Council sent the following correspondence: agendas, minutes, and various attachments, which you all should have received. A letter was sent to Ryan Greenberg, Bureau of EMS, requesting that 20% reduction on contract reimbursement not be implemented. And this was sent on behalf of all New York State program agencies. We will hear, by the way, Ryan, welcome. And we will hear from him a little bit later on, I hope. We sent a letter on behalf of Central Park Medical Unit confirming that they were activated under mutual aid request from FIDNY through New York City REMSCO and participated in the mutual aid activation from March 29th, 2020 through May 31st. And of course, this mutual aid activation was due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we thank them for their service. We wrote a letter to Christopher Capo stating that we've been advised by New York State DOH that the agency Bayside Volunteer Ambulance Corps ID 7336 no longer has an ambulance operating certificate. We are obligated, that is the REMSCO, to function under the mandates of the Public Health Law in Article 30, as guided by the New York State Department of Health. Our statutory duties require the REMSCO to process complete applications for determination of public need, hence the hearing tomorrow evening. And we sent them a copy of our application process should they wish to reapply. Glen Oaks, again, back to Glen Oaks, we wrote a letter deemed that their application was complete. We informed them that we're going forward with the public hearing. The notice of public hearing was sent via email, certified mail, and published in the New York Times. Emails to and from Frank Schroen, who is going to act as the public hearing officer, and copies of the application that are posted on the New York State DOH site. Are there any questions regarding the correspondence report? Hearing none, we move on to the next item. The next item is the staff report. And the first thing is emergency preparedness update. Scott Chan.
Yes, good evening, everyone. As reported last month, it's a council meeting. REMSCO is on the city's system to receive PPE. For agencies that require PPE, please email me if you need to order from this cache. This should be used as a last resort if you do not have access to PPE at this point. End of report.
Are there any questions for Scott? I think we're going to have a quick meeting. Okay. Program agency update. Marie. Marie, unmute yourself.
Sorry. I
Hey.
hate not having a camera. It's like throwing me off. Hold on.
I also had to buy a new camera on behalf of REMSCO.
Yeah, tell the finance committee that. Okay, let me just read this report quickly. One, I wanted to remind everyone that we still have Narcan to distribute. So any agencies out there that would like Narcan, just give our office a call or shoot me an email. Probably going to be recapping stuff that was already said or is going to be said. The Volunteer Association leadership has taken the task of working with the Bed-Stuy VAC, for which I personally am very grateful because it's a lot of work and they really have been working hard. And hopefully this helps put Bed-Stuy on the right track. Some good news, our mental health team really is being reactivated. The Office of Mental Health in New York State has completed training 14 of our providers as train the trainers in suicide prevention. We have people from all 4 sectors, including the fire department on this project. And they're going to go out now and start teaching this course in their respective boroughs and sectors. We also submitted a formal proposal for additional free training to OMH. We did ask for funding for a paid coordinator position that they were not able to give us. So we're going to be looking for additional funding for that. Morty will give you more detailed information under training and ed, but the BLS protocol update has been posted by the New York State on its EMS Academy LMS. The ALS version should be posted soon. Also, what I left off of the advisory in error is that everyone also has to take the New York State protocol update, the short version. It's about 15 minutes. We have to do it. then the DOH website has the ability to collect data and run reports, so we'll be able to identify providers who have completed the training. And the agencies are responsible to collect certificates from their employees to put in their personnel folders. Right now, the program agency and REMSCO contracts, there's been no change. The contracts still have not been finalized, and this is in part due to an introduction of a new web-based portal. It's not new, but the way we're using it is more extensive. And both the contractors like us and the New York State finance staff are new to this, and we're having some hurdles to overcome. One big problem is that regional council and program agency contract funds have been reduced by 20%. We know this because another program agency recently received payment for the fourth quarter of last year, and it was reduced by 20%. We did send a letter to Ryan Greenberg from all the program agency directors, and I have drafted a letter that's coming from the REMAC and REMSCO to the Commissioner of Health, but it's being finalized now. Hopefully it'll be out by tomorrow. And that's my report.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Marie?
Yes, there is. Nancy Benedetto.
Oh, no.
Sorry, Marie. It's
That's okay.
actually not necessarily just for you, but it is a question. And the question is regarding the program agency / regional council contracts, understanding that the Grants Gateway, which is not new, by the way, it was being used for any number of years, but that might be a detriment in terms of getting the contracts completed. My question is, have you received guarantee from the State Department of Health that those contracts are in fact going forward? Because right now you're performing work for free.
We have not gotten anything in writing saying that these contracts are secured. I mean, we've had conversations, that seem to lead us to believe that, but nothing in writing that actually says that these contracts are going to be approved.
Dr.
Anytime
Langston,
soon.
may we ask, you can ask Mr. Greenberg this question now or later, but.
I don't think Ryan is here.
I don't think he's here yet. He's not here.
Okay, good. We'll hold that on. But basically, I would like to consider the idea of the council requesting that a letter of commitment be submitted to the program agencies and the REMSCO stating that, yes, it might take time, but yes, you are going to have a contract. Otherwise, we're working for free, and no one up at the state is working for free.
Would you like to make such a motion?
That is a motion.
Is there a second to the motion? Somebody?
Come on, be brave.
I will second the motion since I figured out how to use the unmute button.
Okay, thank you.
That's Scott's job, by the way. Scott is in charge of seconding motions.
There you go.
Is there any discussion on this motion? Is there anyone who opposes this motion? I will assume by acclamation that we are accepting this as unanimous, unless someone objects. Nancy, will you assist Marie in drafting such a letter?
Yes, I will.
And if Ryan does come, please remind me under new business. I was going to do that immediately when you spoke, and then I started looking for him and he's not here. So under new business, we will reawake if he shows up.
Okay, indeed. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Marie? Hearing none, let's move on. The ambulance committee report. The ambulance committee met immediately before this meeting at 5 o'clock. The meeting lasted for, I think, 17 minutes. Everything that happened at that meeting, you've already been heard in my report from the correspondence report. There were no action items. And so we went home, and we're here now for REMSCO. So that was that. Okay, the next item is Training and Education Committee report. More relax.
Right, so Training and Ed has met several times, at least bits and pieces of Training and Ed, editing, recording, re-recording different pieces of the protocol update. The BLS is up and running on the State's Vital Signs Academy. There are about 100 people signed up so far. I'm sure we're going to continue to aggressively push this out so that we can get it done. Marie basically covered most of my report. Another advisory is going to need to go out, reminding everybody that if they have not done the full state update, that they need to take the short one so that we can keep everybody in the region in compliance. And the ALS will be up by the end of the week. Due to the new nature of the way that we did this, we're going to be hosting several town halls between now and the end of the year. We hope to do a couple a week or every other week up until then. And Dr. Schenker will be involved, and he is attempting to recruit additional REMAC physicians so that we can have these REMAC town hall question and answer periods, which I think will go.
I didn't know what I was doing, but now I know.
Yes, now you know. And yeah, so this should address any questions that people have. I know typically when protocol updates go out, people end up either going to their medical directors or they go to the educators at their agency. So this way they have a venue to come straight to us so that everybody can get the same answers across the board. That's basically where we are at. Some lessons learned so far regarding technology and perhaps some software that we might need to invest in for the next round. But other than that, so far so good. And my thanks, first of all, to John McMillan, has been a tremendous help up at the Department of Health getting this together and posted. And tremendous thank you to all of the members of Training and Ed who participated in getting this done.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Morty?
No questions, but I really want to, I just want to thank Training and Ed members who have been meeting over and over and over again to get this done. It wasn't just a few meetings. It was a lot of meetings, long meetings, a lot of recording. So thank you for all the work you put into this.
Also, while we're on the topic of the training and education and the update, in getting the unified protocols passed at CMAC, I gave my word that we would be live in the region by January 1st. So I ask all of the program, everybody who works for an ambulance company, to please ensure that your staff is doing this update. We really worked Morty and his team worked very, very hard to get this update up and on the LMS. I really ask that we can all get this done by January 1. That was part of the deal to get the New York City unified protocols passed. So please, I really urge everybody to get out there and do it. And if you need any help, any questions, we are available to answer them.
As Maria has mentioned, actually, John did set us up with reporting. So we do have the ability to report. There are three of us, myself, Dr. Schenker, and Marie will have access to run these reports. So we'll be able to find out how we're doing on that compliance.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Morty? Okay, Marie, I noticed that Dov Jacobs is now here, so you can add him to the agenda. To the roll call.
Okay.
Okay. We now move to the REMAC committee report, and I assume Dr. Schenker, you are going to be doing this.
I will. I even put on pants for this, so we're moving in the right direction here. The REMAC met on October 20th last week. There were a few things that happened. Dr. Redlener gave a PowerPoint presentation on the quality assurance and the First Watch project, which is a 911 initiative that is sponsored by an AHA grant to use this application First Watch to basically allow us to look at stroke and STEMI data in our region and hopefully make it easier for us in the future to report this, as well as be on top of the quality assurance in the region. It's a really big step. This application really helps to streamline the data. The computer does the heavy lifting so that you really only have to review the most difficult or egregious cases. So that's number one. Number two, the training education report you heard is now live on the LMS. Like you heard, the ALS will be going live shortly. That was discussed. Also, the ET3 tag that we had in the past to look at and help prepare for ET3, which is coming in January, will be reconvened with Dr. Rabrich as the chair of that committee. Going back to training and ed for 1 second, I just want to make this announcement. These parties are not here, but the Community Conscience Award being given by the Northeast Cerebrovascular Consortium was awarded to the New York City Fire Department and the New York City REMSCO on behalf of our work with regards to stroke and STEMI. I believe that award is being given this Friday. It will be accepted by Dr. Benelli and Dr. Redlener, who really did the bulk of the work. So I really thank them for everything that they did. And it is very deserving, the amount of work that was put together. Okay, there was some discussion by the protocol committee at pain management. A general pain management protocol was discussed, but referred back to protocol committee for some fine tuning. The RTAC requested, and this actually, the discussion continued at the RTAC meeting, to look at the transport of traumatic cardiac arrest to trauma centers. There's a lot of evidence that says that traumatic cardiac arrests, even though the closest hospital might be significantly closer, will have a much greater chance of successful resuscitation at a trauma center rather than at your closest facility. Pediatric trauma patients was also discussed. The paramedic credentialing, the list of current paramedic certifications is now live on the REMSCO website. We're working to make it a little bit easier to find. And Joe, if you can speak to that. But basically, instead of reprinting everybody's card for the additional year that was granted because of the whole COVID pandemic, the list of New York City regional paramedics is now online on the website. Okay, the bylaws, the second reading of the bylaws were reviewed. There are a few emails that I received since the reading that I will share with the bylaws committee, but I believe that we'll get to a vote at the next meeting. Mercy Hospital, Rockville Center, and St. Joseph's Hospital and Bethpage asked to be listed as primary stroke centers in the New York City protocol. A letter will be sent to them stating that they will not be included because they're not New York City regional hospitals, and that's what the list is. It's not a statewide list, and that concludes the report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Dr. Schenker?
Joe, did we move the list someplace where it could be a little bit more accessible on the website?
Joe, that's for you. Question.
You're referring to the list of paramedics?
Yeah,
correct.
It's buried very deep. It's hard to find that list.
You had a concern at REMAC that maybe it was hard to find if we can move it to the front page of the website.
Yeah, we can make that adjustment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Dr. Schenker? Hearing none, we move to the Quality Improvement Committee report. Dr. Schenker, is that you again or someone else?
Sure. Well, actually, Joe can give it. That's probably a better idea.
Sure, I'll speak on the Quality Assurance Committee.
Okay.
The committee met by Zoom last week, and we had a couple of different updates. So we started off with the stroke STEMI First Watch project. So that project is moving along very nicely. Almost all of the 911 participating agencies have registered and are pushing data into First Watch. We're currently finalizing the agency level and the regional dashboards for that. And Dr. Redlener gave a presentation on and preview on those dashboards at the REMAC. And the committee, at the discretion of the chair, would be happy to give a presentation at the next regional council for that. We are currently looking at various measures to include in the regional dashboard, including things like on-scene times to 911 destination, the percentage of calls in which the provider obtained a SLAM score, a glucose, and a 12 lead, as well as various other measures. So agencies can look at all those measures within their agency and look at it over time, as well as compare their agencies to the region at large. So that is moving along. We are currently working with AHA and First Watch to include telemetry data in that as well, and we started work on the final phase, phase 3, which is getting patient outcome data from the hospitals. So those conversations just began. The QA committee has developed a COVID after action report, going back and pulling all the data from various surveys that the council did and studies during the height of the pandemic. First draft of that report has been released. The committee is reviewing it and is set to be presented at the next REMAC meeting with various recommendations to the REMAC for a regional implementation. The committee updated its confidentiality and security agreements. So that policy was updated and approved by the committee and sent out to all members to sign off on. In addition, the committee is working with HealthX for EMS PCR data integration into the statewide health information exchange. So there's a number of conversations happening in relation to that, both at the regional level and at the state level. And we hope to have more to report back on that in the coming weeks. And that concludes the quality assurance report.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for the Quality Improvement Committee? Hearing none, we'll move on. The State EMS Council report, there was no meeting since the last meeting of REMSCO, so there's no report. We now move to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business?
Not at this time.
Okay, moving on to new business. So I have one item of new business. Someone mute yourself, or mute everybody. I hear children in the background. So immediately before this meeting, Marie and I received a letter from Dr. Levitan, who was not able to get on to our meeting, but is, I believe, watching on YouTube or Facebook. And he has some questions. He says that he needs guidance. And his questions actually apply, I think, to the entire region. So I don't think we're going to answer this right now, but let me say what his concerns are. And Marie, you'll reach out to him, please, and see what we can or can't do. Maybe Dr. Schenker will as well. Okay. So he says that his team, in his emergency department have begun to see patients in the ED who have been transported by EMS, admitted to the hospital, and then tested positive for COVID-19. He says he's new returning to the EMS community and he'd like to know more about our policies and procedures. And he asks 3 questions, which I'm sure other people have as well. What is our policy for communicating these things? Does REMSCO participate in the New York City tracking and contact program? And should we place a test and trace report? Should we be placing a test and trace report with New York City? And he asks that you advise him how to proceed to protect our EMS providers. Unless someone has an answer to this now, I would ask that we reach out and that we discuss this further.
He forwarded that email to me as well. I think we should take it offline and discuss it.
Exactly.
It's definitely some great points. But also remember that if crews are doing the appropriate things, a positive or a PUI are treated the same with regards to how the crew has to manage that patient. So whether the patient is a known positive or a patient under investigation, which if you're transporting a patient that has possible COVID symptoms, if you're wearing the appropriate PPE, you manage the exposure the same way. So it's definitely something to discuss, and I will reach out to him as well.
Thank you very much. That's a very good, succinct answer, which is what I was expecting from you. And I think we needed to have that on the record. And thank you for reaching out to him, and hopefully he'll be able to get on the meeting if he has more questions in the future. Okay. Is there any other new business?
Dr. Langsam, I have an item for new business.
Okay, go.
So many agencies are likely aware that the New York State Department of Health, Bureau of EMS, is no longer going to be accepting paper PCRs. So the process of you submitting your paper PCRs to the fire department to then send up to the state for punching, that process is going away and is being replaced by a hybrid process in which your agency will be required to log into the New York State Elite site, which is their statewide PCR data database, to register your agency, which includes registering all of your providers into their system, all of your vehicles as well. And for each of your PCRs, you would have to manually punch in some data, enter it in on the site directly, and then scan the rest of the PCR to the website. So the process for that is rather getting your agency set up, and then if your agency has any kind of significant call volume, putting in each of the PCRs is very time consuming. So if your agency has been waiting to go electronic patient care reports, I would strongly urge all agencies to make the transition now and get moved over, because you're essentially going to have to do all of the same work just to continue to scan the paper PCRs. So we have we still have our regional site that's available. It is available for any agency within the region. And we work very closely with you to get you onboarded as quickly as possible. And that is a commitment the office has made.
Joe, can you put together a one-paragraph summary of what you just said and have it sent out to all the agencies so they are aware that the deadline is quickly approaching?
Yes, we have a meeting tomorrow morning with Peter Brody from the state just to finalize some details. This way we can get that messaging out.
Thank you very much.
So just for clarification, the deadline is January 2022, correct? To go live electronic?
So the official deadline, that's for CFR. This is for transporting agencies that they're no longer accepting the paper. So the 2022 deadline, that's for CFR. That is not directly what I'm speaking about.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Is there any other new business? Nancy, I do not see Ryan here. So we will have to corner him at some later date.
Yeah, Ryan was not able to log on for whatever reason.
Okay. The state has trouble with technology. But so you'll be working with Marie to put together that letter, which will go out and get a response, I hope, one way or the other very quickly.
Fine.
Thank you. Is there any other new business?
Dr. Langsam, I have one additional item.
Go right ahead.
So as mentioned during the QI report, we have a committee that is looking at integrating EMS data with hospital data. So getting our PCRs sent directly into the hospital systems, in particular, more specifically, having it sent to what's called the SHINY, which is the New York State's Health Information Exchange. So with that, the New York State Department of Health just released a grant funding opportunity called DEIP funding. It's a initiative to encourage agencies to get connected into the state HIE through their local, what's called a qualified entity. The most common one here in the city is known as HealthX. So we have a committee that is working on this. We did a couple of informational sessions with the hospital privates and the volunteer agencies to introduce this funding. we think this is a great opportunity to get all EMS data connected into the HIE. There's a lot of stakeholders that are part of this, and we're going to be working diligently over the next few weeks to pull it all together. So we just ask that, if anyone that's with any of the associations, whether trade or volunteer, please reach out to your members and make them aware of this funding opportunity. So it's an opportunity to make sure that your PCRs get to the hospital, getting rid of the fax process, and for all the things that we want for hospital outcome data. This is kind of the first step in making that happen.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Any other new business, Joe? Anything else?
No, I promise I'll shut up now.
No. Go right ahead. Okay, well, hearing no new business before we adjourn, I just want to again say it's nice seeing everybody, whether I see you or just see your names. Please continue to take care of yourself and your families. Stay healthy. We need you. We're grateful to all the work that everyone is doing. Having said that, I'll see you at the next meeting. A motion to adjourn is in order.
Motion.
I make the motions.
I made it
Okay.
first.
I expect to see as many of you as possible at tomorrow night's public hearing.
And Marie is going to get us off the camera so we can see her too.
Well, we'll see how fast I can get a camera, but have a good night, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming. Be well. Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Good night.